Just a moment here. We should be live any second. If we already are, hello,
We
everyone.
are. I see it. It
We
says live
are.
on
Okay,
Facebook.
great. Well, I'm going to jump back over in here to Zoom. Hello and good morning. Thank you, Jenny, so much for coming in to Lady Leaders of Oklahoma City. I'm so excited to spend time with you, and I already feel your energy. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm excited to be here with you, Missy.
Yep, same. So, Jenny, the reason I asked you specifically is I know that you are so passionate about systems and passionate about having a way to do anything and not recreate the wheel, right? And so I know that you love time blocking, and I know that you have um, stories to tell, hacks to share, and systems to share. And so I wanted you to come and teach about time blocking. It's one of the things that the Lady Leaders of Oklahoma City specifically mentioned wanting to learn.
I appreciate that. I'm so honored that you would think of me. What's funny is everything I share today is nothing that I originated. It's just what I've put together over all these years of working to and striving, like all of us, to be better with our time, especially as women, as leaders, as moms, as spouses, as friends, as business owners. I mean, we've all got a lot on our plates, and so we have to be really clear about what we focus on, and that's what we can talk about today.
Okay, so I love that. First, let's talk about your plate. So, for those that don't know, this is Jennie Wolek. She is a team leader of a real estate team, not to be confused with the Keller Williams term, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So, tell me a little bit about your journey here, your business, your team, and kind of what's on your plate.
So thanks, Missy. You know, I have been in real estate for 20 years now. It's crazy how it flies by. And I actually started my real estate career in Norman, Oklahoma. Boomer.
Sooner.
Thank you. There we go. And I can only get that from my Sooner friends in Norman. So I started my real estate career back then. I made my way back home to Tulsa. That's where I'm from. A few years later, so I started over again my real estate career when I moved back home. Early on in my real estate career, I knew nothing about lead generation or having a database or being purposeful at all. I totally winged it. It was very clear that I had no purpose or focus if you look at my early days. Then I got married, I had a little one, and it was around the time that my daughter was 3.5. I eventually made my way to Keller Williams, and I know that is exactly around 13 years ago because my daughter Mia, she's now 13 and a half. She was in my belly when I joined Keller Williams. And this isn't a join Keller Williams class or session. It's just that that's what it took for me to get to where I needed to be because I learned so much and really found quickly that we all have the same playing field. Like we have this red book that we use, Missy, I'm sure yours is a mess like mine. And it is just really, the foundation of how to build a big business. And back then I would have been afraid of big business because I didn't think that I was that kind of person. I was probably like, oh no, that's not me. I'm fine just making $30,000 a year. All the money that I make, it goes right back out to all the marketing and expenses. I never had a profitable business until after around 2010. I took a class called Bold. You're a student of Bold as well. And it was really, and I love Bold and I have so many great stories about my experiences there. But what it was for me is that it was my mindset. I had never envisioned a big life that I could still have control over and not be stressed out. I thought the busier I was, the more families that I helped, the more stressed out I would be. And I quickly learned that it was actually the opposite. When you got more clear on what matters most to you, your family, your goals, your business, you actually have more time. So I think what happens is that we think as busy moms and professionals that we have to have every minute time blocked. And actually the opposite is true. Like we talked about already, we have a morning routine, whether you subscribe to the Miracle Morning or know your energy plan from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This is one of my hacks for anyone that has the MREA book written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan on page 308 is your your energy plan, and all of the pieces of your energy plan happen before 11 a.m. And if you block out the most important things to take care of your mind, your spirit, your physical needs, your energy with your family, all of those things, and your business energy, then your day is already set up for success. And the afternoons can be a little bit more loosey goosey if needed. That's what I found.
Loosey goosey. I somehow don't picture you being loosey goosey, and I want to see it.
Oh, I'm loosey goosey.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so let me ask you this: as your and what does your team look like now? Like, what was your business last year? What's your team look like now?
Yeah, so back in 2011, after I'd taken that bold class, my production had actually doubled as a solo agent to 51 units, 51 families that I got to help. And then year after year, I slowly kept growing. And it was so weird because it was then 61 units, 71 units, 81. And so it was this really interesting baby steps, because that actually is my behavioral style. I really like to get ready, and I'm okay with it now. I'm the tortoise rather than the hare, because I want to be building a really solid foundation. And now 20 years in the business, we're doing all right. Last year we got to help 173 families here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That allows us to give back to our community. We have a giving portion of our mission on our team. So we donate back to local nonprofits. We gave over $20,000 back to community events and things. We also love promoting local businesses and having lots of fun and growing our database and making sure we're staying connected with them. So what's funny, Missy, is, well, it's awesomely funny, is that we started off 2020 as a 5-person team. And over the year of COVID, we actually doubled in size with adding new agents, new admin team, and we are stronger and better than ever before. It took a pandemic for us to get even stronger and better. So our goal this year is to help 221 families, and we're well on our way, having lots of fun.
Amazing. By the way, guys, you should check out, it's Tulsa Looks Good on You, right? Tulsa
Right.
Looks Good on You. And you can see Jennie interviewing local businesses and kind of working that part of her sphere. Absolutely incredible. And I just need to have you back. Let's go ahead and schedule having you back so we can talk about having a
Yeah.
referral-based business.
Yeah, I'll clarify real quick. TulsaLooksGoodOnYou.com is our video blog for our real estate business, and Tulsa Looks Good on You, the Facebook page, is actually where it's not about the Wolek Group. It's all about Tulsa and community stuff. So that's where you'll find it on YouTube as well. So all the places.
Cool. That's so cool. Okay, so let me ask this: how did your relationship change with time as you grew? Your relationship with time, how did that change, and your mindset around it?
Oh, geez. It was the earlier days of not yet learning how to leverage. And
Mm.
leverage to me means either bringing in people or systems or tools or technologies that make our lives easier. Because I don't know about you, Missy, I'm a bit of a control freak.
No, I mean, you know, I feel like
Right. So basically, all us high producing, driven people have a bit of that inside of us. And we really think that we can do things better than anybody else. And what I've learned is that is absolutely not true. All the other people are way better than us. So we need them. And so that's where over the years, my time blocking only got better when I allowed other people to take on tasks that needed to be leveraged, that should not have been on my plate anyway. Because a lot of times I think real estate agents in their growth, because they've got to grow through their own production, growing through others is the biggest challenge we have. And it's actually a course that we teach at Keller Williams, Career Visioning. And then you get to 30, 60, 90, which is the bringing the people onto your team and making sure they're properly trained and held accountable. And the next step, and the portion that gets missed so much, is the success through others section. And that is where we grow leaders inside of our world. And that is where life will get so much better, is just, it's a beautiful place. So I think that we try to hang on to too much. We don't even find leverage in small things like a house cleaner or a lawn person. I mean,
I haven't cleaned my house in 3 years.
Right. I mean, I just had a food bag dropped off and delivered from a local farm. Yay. And now I don't have to go to the grocery store. I've got fresh
Yeah.
vegetables and fruit for the next few days. So anything that you can do. Um, so yeah, I think that the learning to grow in your leadership and your clarity of why you're here on earth. What is your purpose? What's your mission in life? And then you can take that to pull you through to making sure that you're setting your weekly and monthly and annual goals based on that really big life that you envision.
That's amazing. Of course, I'm wearing my
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
Okay, so let me ask this because I know we have a lot. Yeah. I know we have a lot of ladies in here that are solo agents or maybe some that are new. What would you suggest, or what are some maybe hacks, things to think about as they're figuring out what their perfect day looks like?
Well, I think the biggest trick for me in the life-changing moment for me was I did have a business coach early on. Before I had any team members, I did have a business coach. And so that was very important for me in my growth because it was getting my mind around what should my morning routine look like. So say you take care of your morning based on, the morning activities to get your mind and your body in the right place, and then you get to the office. And then it is focused outbound conversations versus allowing the phone to ring and get you distracted. And I
I
know that it's so hard for people because you see that phone coming in or that email pop up or that Facebook ding, and they have to wait. And what I really learned is that there are no real estate emergencies. If there are, they should be calling 911 and not me. And most things always work themselves out by 11:01 anyway. So when we think about your lead generation time, for me, I'll be honest, mine's from 9 to 11. And then from 11 to 12, I use that for a follow up. That's when you can do your follow up, your emails, your handwritten notes, your notes in your CRMs. You apply an action or smart plan so you don't forget. And so that is my version of a 3 hour time block. And that's what we teach and share with our team as well. So that if they can only focus for 2 hours on all of their follow up, generation, connection, and care calls, they're going to see results because they're going to add to their pipeline. Then the appointments for inspections are set or the closings are set. I mean, if you build out your perfect day, Missy, it should be your morning routine, which I know is a whole nother topic, whether you subscribe, like I said, I know Missy, you have definitely done the miracle morning stuff in the past. And then you have your lead generation, your follow up, then you time block. Okay, at 1 o'clock would be a listing appointment or a buyer consultation. And then at 3 o'clock would be another one of those. And then my in between time is when I can talk with clients about repair negotiations or help negotiate that other contract. And whenever you get really clear about your blocked schedule, because even if there's no appointments with people in your calendar yet, it says listing appointment or buyer consultation already there. So when somebody wants you to run out and do something or take you away from your focus, you can say, you know what, actually, I'm not available right then. However, I am at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Will that work for you? And then you're coming from a place of power and professionalism. You're not telling them no. You're saying yes, and let's put you
Yeah.
over here.
And I love that too, because what that's going to make me do if I have a listing appointment at 1 and I don't actually have a listing appointment, I'm going to find one, or I'm going to go visit a FISBO porch. I'm going to do something
Yeah.
to keep that commitment in my calendar. That's really genius.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing because remember that class, Bold, I know you know it so well. There was even just a blank perfect day calendar and you wrote it out. So if you're watching this and you haven't ever done this before, just look at a blank calendar of a day and put on there all of the activities. Missy, on my calendar every morning, it tells me to wake up, exercise, have coffee, think and plan. I mean, I am down to that ridiculousness of a time block. And then, of course, my afternoons are then more flexible. And that's where I can put in the creative thinking time or the planning or the preparing type stuff.
or even the white space. I've learned that I have to put that on my calendar and schedule appointments with okay, so I'm going to tell on myself. Right before we went live, I confessed that I self-sabotaged my calendar this morning. So I'm going to confess to everyone. And then I want to ask your, I guess, insight into not being like me. So this morning I got up, I was up before, well, I was up at 4:45. I was out the door by 5:15, shoes on. I went for a run, came back, showered, and then I had an appointment at 7. I knew around 6:30, I mapped it and I was like, oh, I don't have to leave my house until 9 minutes before my appointment. So instead of finishing my hair and makeup and doing all that stuff, I was like, well, so I got on Facebook and I was looking at that, and then I was loving on my dog, and I did all these things so that I was still 3 minutes late. Sorry to Stephanie Chapman, who was waiting for me at Neighborhood Jam. So what are some things that you would tell someone like me to stop self-sabotaging my calendar when I have it time blocked appropriately?
See, Missy, it's interesting. You shared that, and I am not of that breed. So I can't tell you how to change it. But what I think of whenever people are late for me, is I feel like that's disrespectful.
Yes.
So maybe your mindset needs to understand that you showing up late, even with the best intentions, is inappropriate. Is that rough and tough?
No, it's a I'm here for that. Please abuse me. I love it.
Well, what I'm saying though is that I learned early on, maybe it was a fear or something happened in my childhood that I was late to things, or and it was out of my control. Like maybe my parents ran late to things, and I was mortified.
Mortified. Yeah.
Yeah, that I was late, and so maybe that's my fear in my mind. And so my fear always has been, Missy, is the fear of not having enough time. That has always been my fear. So that's always been my stressor. So that's why I'm really good at time blocking, because then I always have enough time. I don't run out of it. So what I would say is I would trick yourself and say, I have so much time. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to go ahead and get there. And I'm going to sit in my car for that extra 10 minutes and play on my phone, because that's what I do.
And that's exactly what I was thinking about too, when because I knew we had this conversation scheduled, time blocked for today. So I was on my way to Neighborhood Jam and I was thinking about it. I was like, why would you do that? And I was thinking too, it's probably for me an instant gratification thing instead of a delayed gratification, because I know that I have time. And sometimes I like creating chaos so that I can have something to handle. And I thought, anyway.
As long as you're self-aware, you're working through all this. And I want to come eat with you and Stephanie someday soon. So better
Yes,
meet me.
please do. Okay, let me, guys, while you're watching, oh, wow, we have a lot of comments.
Oh, good.
Go ahead and type out some questions that you have about time blocking. Look at us. Is it weird? Like we're watching us?
Oh, yeah. Hi.
So, Jennifer Weaver, I am seriously good at self-sabotage. I would know anything about that.
First off, I love, honestly, successful people are self-aware. So first we just have to acknowledge it. And then like you just said, Missy, you now know you want to get better at that. So how can you enlist accountability around that? You know what Brittany on my team does? I love this. She sets the night before her day, she sets alarms, the ones that ring and ding really loud on her phone, with giving her time to leave to get to where she needs to go. So there is no denying that she needs to get out. And it even happens during our own team meetings or our own, events, even if she's at an appointment with a client, and it's gone long because they're talking extra, So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being accountable to your calendar and having that kind of accountability around it.
So how do you, since you have systems for everything, how do you and when do you plan your calendar? When do you work in your planning?
Well, it's on my calendar.
Right, of course it is. Where is it?
So honestly, it's every week at 7 p.m. on Sundays. I have a notification that pops up and says, review 411, plan your week. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull out my 411. Now let's go way back in time if we have a minute.
Yes, we do. We have 7 minutes before we take questions.
Okay, so Missy, before you can even get to this tool called the 411 that we utilize, you first have to have dreamt really, really big. This is an exercise called goal setting to the now. And if you've never heard of this before, you can Google it. You can find it inside of this lovely book called The One Thing. And I always love teaching and sharing with people that before they can get to what they should be doing right now, they need to be thinking about what they plan on doing 20 years from now. And
Mm.
so my favorite page to start at is on page 114, and we call this the 7 circles. Okay. So there are multiple, and you can pick your own uh, events and categories for your 7 circles. They don't have to be these. These are just a great starting place for you. Some people like to mix them up. But for your spiritual life, your physical health, personal life, key relationships, your job, your business, your finances. And now just take a little bit of thinking time in that white space that you choose. Maybe it's on the weekend or in the middle of an afternoon. And think about, where do I choose for my physical health to be 20 years from now? Missy, I just turned 48. Add 20 years to that.
Yep.
That is a big number. And guess what I choose to be at that number? Alive, healthy, strong, and physically fit. And as we get older, Missy, as you know, things aren't in the same place and you start, scrunching over, and we have to get our core in shape. And that's why I love that you run, and we're on a mission to stay healthy. Well, if I know that in 20 years, that's how I choose to be, 5 years from now, what do I need to also be? All those things. And so if I'm planning out my 2021 calendar in my physical areas of life, what do I need to be doing? So here's what I set my goal for this year: having 64 ounces of water a day. That's measurable, right?
Yep.
Every
Yep.
week I can say, did I do it? I have an app called MyFitnessPal, and I track all of my things. I also put a goal that I want to work out. I choose to work out 5 times a week. Now, I know me, and I work out best when I go places. And of course, you have to be COVID safe. I go to a bar class and I go to a yoga class. And so those are either at 5:30 or 5:45 a.m. Because why? Because we know we have to do it in the morning or we won't get it done. And then I
Yes.
also put on my calendar that I know you've run a marathon, and I pushed myself one time to that extreme. Last year I did a half marathon, and this year I'm going to do 4 5Ks. That's
Yay.
my goal. And so I was like, oh, wait, I haven't even looked. When is the next 5K? And so it's at the end of March. I put it on my calendar. And so I'm going to run 4 5Ks. I'm going to work out 5 days a week, and I'm going to drink water. Should that put me on the path to physical fitness and strength?
Yes.
So every week on my 411 in my personal categories, did I do that? How many steps have I taken? Oh, and the other one is that I'm going to walk or move 5K a day. So that just means that it's not running or it's whichever, it's running or walking, that I'm going to at least move my body per my fitness app, that I've moved my body 3.1 miles. And so I'm able to track off on these. And then if I haven't, then I set next week's calendar. When am I going to get all these things in? They're already on my calendar of when I'm going to do that. That's an example of physical arena. Now you do the same thing with your business. Where do you choose for your business to be? Where do you want to be? I want to be on a beach. I want to do what I love, making the money that I desire wherever I want to end up being and doing it. How do I put myself on that path?
I love that. I think, especially for me in the beginning, I'm a visionary and I always knew I wanted to be here. And it was a mindset shift to figure out that I need to actually make this specific and then have all these specific steps to get there. Otherwise, I ended up somewhere I didn't intend to be. And I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, well, you need your end goal, and then you need to chunk it down to the little symbol on your shirt, the domino. What is the lead domino today that's going to knock over the next one to get me to where I choose to be in 20 years?
That's incredible. Okay, I'm going to see if we have any questions. We do. Alex Wheeler says, Jenny, do you have specific calendars that you use for your time blocking?
Honestly, I start everything big. So my bigger thinking and my bigger planning is done on this one thing planner. So like I built out, at the beginning of this year, I've got all the monthly at a glances where I put on all of our family vacations, our team fun days, any trainings that I choose to do, all the big picture stuff. And then honestly, my day-to-day picture stuff is on my electronic calendar, my Google Calendar. And that way it can be shared with my team and things like that. Yeah.
Got it. So,
Oh
Stephanie.
wait, let me throw in something else to that. So remember I told you that I have a 411, which is a tool that we use at Keller Williams. So at the top of it's going to be my annual goals, my monthly goals, and then my weekly goals. Now what ends up happening is that I have it electronically. So every week I go into my Google spreadsheet and I update it with here's where we are in production, here's where I am on all these things. And then I only have 5 spots for what I'm going to be doing this week to move my business forward. So these are the big picture stuff. Like I don't need to tell myself inside of my weekly goals that I need to connect with people and lead generate. Like that's already on my calendar. So the bigger picture stuff, the business moving forward things that cannot be overlooked are on my weekly. And then this is my hack. I print it off. And this is what I carry around all week. And the back is actually my 80%.
I love that.
So that way, instead of having sticky notes everywhere about all the things that pop in my brain in a week, they come to the back. Then I can carry it over to the next week and either put it on a calendar. Did that get done? Did it not get done? And then honestly, I kept all of these from all of 2020, just have them all printed out. So I should go back through and laugh at myself.
That is going to be super cool to look at like 10 years.
Yeah.
So real quick, for those that may not know, what do you mean when you say 80%?
Yeah, so we have an amazing course with Keller Williams called The 6 Personal Perspectives. And this actually comes from Gary Keller's original teachings called Quantum Leap. And it's also inside of the One Thing, and it's also inside of a class we teach for young adults called QL for Young Adults. And I teach that with my lovely little Brittany on my team. And so we have a class coming up. This is open to anyone, Missy, if we want to promote it. On March 25th, I believe, from noon to 3, Brittany and I are offering a class that is called Maximize Your Potential, and it helps young adults discover their mission and their purpose in life, which is awesome. And of course, it's free. It'll be through Zoom. And inside of that, we talk about how do we know what matters most? So it's called the Pareto's Principle, also 80-20. So what we know is that we need to be focusing on our 20%, the most productive things that we can do in a day. And the 80% is all the other stuff. That 80% could be leveraged. It's not urgent. And so yeah, we got to know our big rocks. And the big rocks are the things that we've already talked about.
Got it. Love it. So I don't have any more questions. I do have a comment from Stephanie Chapman about 15 minutes ago. She just wrote, ouch. So I believe that's when you said something about being inconsiderate if you're running late.
Let's ask Stephanie. How did she feel?
Yeah, I know. She's so great.
I know. I love it. Well, awesome. I think what else I've learned, if you want me to kind of keep running with this, is that everything really does, Missy, have to start with our mindset and our mission. And when I finally discovered that, and I applied what's in my heart and what I love to do to my business, everything got easier because I was really clear. The pain of picking up the phone and talking to people got easier and erased because instead it was, I'm great at helping people. I'm just offering help. And then whenever I get to help them, that allows me to do what I love and connect with them and then give back to my community because we created a nonprofit called Keys to the City. We teach QL for young adults when we offer scholarships to the students that are local here who attend the class. And so whenever you start attaching your love to your business, you don't get as stressed out. Yes, it's very stressful right now. I am not dismissing that. It is very stressful.
All the buyers
However,
are going, what are you saying right now?
oh, geez. Well, it just helps you get through it a little easier because you can see past. You can see past this stress because you know you're on the path to helping more families or helping them through a tough time. You know, this isn't my first shifting market. This time I'm not as in it as much as my agents. I'm still hearing it and living it vicariously through them. The last time it was the opposite. We had sellers for days, for years, actually. We had so many sellers and not one person that would or could buy. So imagine it just being flipped around. And no matter what, this is the fun of our business. We get to be a consultant and we get to help people in a very stressful time or a very exciting time. We are there for them in all of their life events and we want to be there for them. And you're going to get to be there for them when you have a time block calendar, you show up as a professional, you treat them with respect, and they also learn and you've set expectations that they treat you with respect. Because a lot of agents, I've seen it, you say yes, 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 because you haven't learned yet to say no to certain things because you don't know what's most important. And then you end up working yourself to death, or you have a breakdown, or you have even more extreme things happen to you in your marriage or in your life or in your world. So
Right. Or you miss too many bedtimes. That was me in the beginning.
yeah.
Miss too many bedtimes. Okay, so I've heard you talk about some of these things. I know that Keller Williams sort of in some ways has its own little language. So you guys go ahead and make your jokes. And yet there's some amazing tools and training. And one thing that I know my beautiful friend here is passionate about is teaching and training and coaching. So she is actually in her energy zone when she's doing those things. And she's created a Facebook group. It is Your Journey with Jennie. And she has files, recordings, webinars, posts, all sorts of tools. Tell me about your group real quick. I know that you would not come in here and but I love it. And I want everyone who's watching to go find it and join it. In fact, we can drop a link when we hang up.
Okay. Thank you. And yeah, Miss, it was actually in 2016 when I had this idea of creating a Facebook group. And you know why, Missy, is because I had a breakdown in my business. I wasn't a great leader. I wasn't holding my team accountable, and I wasn't. That maybe they weren't even properly trained. Whatever the reasons were, that were all my fault. I own it. And I got to start over, which means I got back into production and now I'm the listing agent and the buyer agent, and I've got two admin. And so I just knew that I had to do something dramatic to get back on track. So I traveled to Oklahoma City and I took that 7-week class. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. I took this class 4 times in 1 year. And the next year I traveled to Joplin and I traveled to Fayetteville. And the reasons I was doing that, for one, that's called taking massive action. And I got to be in the same room with 100 other top performing, like-minded real estate agents who now I got to be their referral partner and friend if I were to earn the right. Well, I did. I started getting lots and lots of referrals to Tulsa, which is amazing. And I'm so grateful. And then I started having some guilt because I could not, I just knew no matter how much and how bad I wanted to, I would never be able to repay back all of these referrals I was receiving. There were way more than I would be able to generate back to those areas. And so I said, what can I do that will still add value to my realtor friends, even if it's not in the form of referral? Maybe it's in a form of I share my system or my checklist or my tool or just mindset stuff, all the things I've learned over all these years. So that's where Your Journey with Jennie came from, was a place to just put all the things that I've learned and to share with my agent community. Now it's actually, we've got 4,700 people who have opted in to be a part of that world. So all y'all come on in. And whether you're in real estate or any other business, I think any entrepreneurial salesperson type position would also benefit, because a lot of this is, we have the same job depending on, I mean, other industries are very similar. we're in the lead generation and helping people business, and that's what we do, the relationship business. So that's where we are now. And then Missy, last year with COVID, I'd set a big goal to, I'm a Keller Williams University instructor, and I love teaching and training and sharing with my agent friends, as you know. And that was put on hold last year. So instead, I just created a webinar, a 3-hour workshop, and then that spread out into becoming. So I went from mirror my business to implement my business, and now I've just launched a membership group. So
I saw that.
yeah.
I read all of your emails because they always have value.
So thank you. So that's where we are today. And you're exactly right. And anybody that's watching, maybe your thing isn't my thing, but know what your thing is. Like, as soon as I discovered that I love to teach and train and share, and this is when my heart is just on fire and so excited, that still allowed me to do what I love and generate referrals for my team. And they allowed me then to go do what I love. So it just becomes this cycle of awesomeness. So
Well, and on a personal note, I might get emotional. I didn't expect this. What is this? So the first time I actually thought about what makes me happy was in your, I think it was called Magnify Your Mission. And you came to Norman and you taught, and I worked through this exercise, several questions to figure out my personal mission statement. So it was powerful. Well, so many people would say, especially for women, that, what's your why? And the canned response was always something around money or my family or my kids. And I just didn't connect with that. Like, I love my kids, but I don't love kids. Like, no, that
yeah,
doesn't work for me.
I just have one for that reason.
I know. So I couldn't figure it out. And then I filled out that exercise, and I have since put more thought and effort in it. And I have one that makes me cry. My personal mission statement, thanks to your help and guidance in creating it, is I help people turn their all into more.
That's
It's
beautiful.
powerful.
Beautiful.
So
I love that.
didn't expect to share that.
Missy, though, I'm just going to tell you, and if you guys want to go in your journey with Jennie, you can search mission statement exercise. It's a 2-pager that Missy's talking about, and print it off and do it and take the time to work through it. Because once you see your life beyond making money and what's truly in your heart, you're not the first to cry working through that exercise. People, it's not me. I didn't create the exercise. It comes from QL for young adults. And so you can learn more about QL if you want to be an instructor and share this with others and young people at kwkc.org. We always can use more instructors. And it's life-changing for people. It really is. This life is way too short to just be flailing around and winging it.
Yep, absolutely agree. Okay, so you mentioned something about referrals earlier. If someone has a referral for Tulsa, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm going to first ask that they go to Your Journey with Jennie and join the Facebook group. There's a page, but there's a group. And so join the group so that you get in there and you see all my stuff. And then just, Jennie, Jennie, at thewolekgroup.com. I found that email is my best place because I'm telling you, Missy, with the Facebook messages, texts, all the places to receive things, it can get messy. And I don't want to miss anybody. So
great. Okay, well, thank you for being here. Is there anything that you wish I would have asked about time blocking that maybe I didn't?
Geez, let's see. I think that the best thing for me in the end is having accountability around it. I think here's a phrase that I love to share is that we judge other people based on their actions, and we judge ourselves based on our intentions. And so if you don't share your goals with people, then you're holding them to yourself, you're going to let yourself off the hook because I intended to do that big goal thing, but I don't have to because I didn't tell anybody about it. Yes. And so I would really encourage those that are watching to, get really uncomfortable with goals. Missy, running a marathon when I wasn't a runner was a really big goal. And I shared it with others because I was held accountable to do it. I had a coach that helped me track it. I had the tools and the apps and the technologies to help me track it. And yes.
Yep, I love it.
And so there you go. That was fun.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much for coming. And I always love feeding off your energy. It's amazing.
Let's get together in person as soon as we can.
Okay.
Meet you in Stroud.
Yep. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And Jenny will circle back later and look at the comments and answer your questions. So have a good day. Bye.
Bye.